are you licking my gobstopper?
Strike that. Reverse it.
Nazi punks! Lick my plate! Drainage!
It'll be 10 minutes where it's like a Steven Spielberg Ocean's 11 movie. It's all slick and funny and stuff. Then just the most horrific shit imaginable happens.
It's because that's what the fucking movie's about, you asshole.
This fucking guy.
The Tree of Life is freaking awesome.
I'm sure you think it is.
Faded to black.
Oh, you are fucking this up.
Neon slime.
Gangster movie douchebag. Well, forget about it. Yeah, forget about
Been
it.
Cinematique, where I like, I like the sets and I like all that stuff.
What did you say?
Cinematique?
I don't know.
Jared Leto, man.
You're the worst, dude. If you ever listen to this, Jared Leto, you are the fucking worst. I'd rather watch that dude, the English dude, who looks like he's not done yet.
This movie is the opposite of getting laid.
Thank you to all our listeners who have been listening to us for over a year now. Subscribe to us on Apple iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and any other platform that has podcasts. Visit our Patreon page, become a Patreon to get more additional content. Again, we appreciate you listening and keep watching those movies. Now, on with the show. I just love this podcast. I love this podcast. I don't love much, but I love this podcast. This week's episode is brought to you by Table Rock Creative Group. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here is Lee Bridges, Doug Wall, and Garrick Lane. It's Tales from the Video Store. What are you talking about? Donnie Darko is a one.
You're a fucking one-time watch.
It's a
You're a
one-time
fucking...
watch.
What? You fucking suck it.
That movie sucks ass. The only thing good about that movie is Patrick Swayze.
That's because you're a fucking dumb son of a bitch. You got an IQ of like a fucking 14. God.
Wow.
Just forget it.
All right, let's forget it then. Do
you want to know what my fucking 99-cent banger
just
is?
later.
We'll just do that later.
Yeah, let's just do it later. Let's go. Welcome to Tales from the Video Store, number 83. This one should be 82.5.
Right.
Because we actually just did this one to make up for last week's Combat Shock. so this week we decided to go...
Trauma.
Is it trauma? Whatever.
Well, I'm calling it the trauma because I was traumatized trying to watch those shitbag movies.
Well, then maybe his...
Thank Christ we came around to something a little bit more in my wheelhouse.
Yes, and definitely freaking Bridges' Lee House. Lee House.
What?
Sorry.
Lee House Bridges?
I think I had a mini stroke. Something just happened.
You look like you've had several.
Wow. All right, well, the Canon Films... you want to get into this, Lee? I know your mouth's been watering for 2 fucking years to do this movie. Let's go.
He's really on it today, isn't he?
He is. Slip him a value if you would, Doug.
I wish I had a handful of them.
I know, you just eat them yourself if you did. But anyway, yeah, we're doing 1985's Invasion USA, starring Chuck Norris, directed by Joseph Zito, produced by the great Canon Films. It was the first movie in Chuck Norris's big, like when he got signed to Canon Films, they signed him to a big 6-movie contract. And this was sort of that. This was sort of them moving from super low budget movies to bigger movies, you know. And it's the story of, these Russian soldiers. I guess their plot is to just sort of disrupt American society. Send Russian, spies all over and just like commit acts of terrorism, acts of violence, pose as cops to sort of, disrupt communities. And unfortunately, unfortunately they fuck with the baddest man alive, Matt Hunter, who, you would think if you have an army of Russian soldiers, you would need like an army or like a squad of guys. No, you just need a guy in a friggin' denim shirt with 2 mini Uzis driving around in a pickup truck.
That's a fact. Yeah.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
And this is one of those action movies where the bad guy makes the fatal flaw of just fucking with this one guy.
Yeah.
You know, had he left Chuck Norris alone, they might have been successful. You know.
Yep. Had they,
But, you know,
had they not messed with his brother,
Exactly.
I mean,
But,
he might have just been wrestling alligators for the rest of his life. But unfortunately,
Exactly. Yeah, I never understood that in action movies. You got the bad guy who has some grudge, and he's like, well, we have this plot to take over the world, but first, I'm going to go pick a fight with the baddest motherfucker on earth. You know, and then surprise, it doesn't work out.
it's the Neil McCauley Syndrome. Had he just driven to the airport, why did he have
That's
to
true.
go back? Why? Why must he finish? Why must he?
Because you won't be able to. It's if you don't do it, you'll never. You always think about it.
Yeah.
It's like
not asking the girl out at the dance or asking the girl for the dance.
it's all about regret.
It's like, man, if I would have just kissed her while I was dancing,
Everything might have changed.
I might have gotten. Anyhow, I'll
But yeah, this movie
really
is pretty much
fucked that
the 80s personified. You know,
Oh,
if
it's-
someone was to ask me what 80s movies were like, I would show them Invasion USA. Because it's
without a doubt.
ridiculous. It's ridiculously pro-American, you know. I mean, and it's just, you know, the Russians are the bad guys. Chuck Norris sort of, you know, Chuck Norris in this movie, he is America.
Yes.
You know. And, but yeah, it's just, well, I mean, it's a movie that like they showed on TV constantly in the 80s, you know. And if you grew up around that time, you probably saw it on, what's that?
I don't think I've seen it since the 80s.
Yeah, I probably haven't seen it in quite some time. But,
That's a $12
it's
million
ridiculous.
budget movie, too. That's crazy. There was a lot of explosions and a lot of practical
Oh,
stuff going
Jesus
on.
Christ, it's all practical. It's all kick-ass explosions. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's $12 million. That's what I'm saying.
$12 fucking million worth of explosions.
Of course, I guess $12 million in 1985 was probably, 30 now?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, they got access to a neighborhood in Atlanta that was going to be demolished to expand the airport. So they had all these buildings they could blow up. You know, they could do anything to. You know, which I'm sure that helped their budget out too, as opposed to having like build fake buildings. So they had an entire suburb they could just drive trucks through, blow them up, what the hell ever. You know, and it's, you know, yeah, this is pretty much the epitome of canon films.
Yeah.
You know, these, I mean, yeah, like they're that was sort of their thing in the 80s. They would get these action guys, just sign them to these huge contracts.
Is that you fucking growling, Lee? What the fuck is going
No,
on?
that's my dog freaking out.
Garrick just spit water all over the goddamn place. Sorry, I kept hearing this thing and I said, God damn it, is Lee fucking growling?
All I heard was a groan and a groan. Oh, my
Hey,
God.
shut up.
Oh, goddamn.
I'm good.
Oh, shit.
Oh, dude, that was terrible timing. I about just ate it. All right. All right, where were we?
Sorry, man. Oh, Lord.
Oh, my God, that water's everywhere. All right. Where were we?
But what do you guys think of the movie?
Okay, I'll go.
Go.
All right. This is pyrotechnics at your absolute finest. Like, every explosion was fucking perfectly done, pristine. Like, like we said, when they're in this suburb, and it's like, well, all right, we're standing here, and there's 4 houses around. I guess I'm just gonna blow the shit out of all of them, and it was awesome. I can't remember a movie with more explosions per couple of minutes than this one. Because for every like little scene, it's like, you know, inside of like just a couple of minutes is going to be another kick-ass explosion. And I love that. Like you say, I mean, that's 80s. That's just, that's 80s, I guess, action movies.
Yeah.
You know, there's no there's no green screen, there's no bullshit. It is all practical effects, and you know, it's go time.
Exactly.
You know, I think you made mention of like Chuck and the little those little mini Uzis.
Yeah.
Well, I remember around this time it was like a little mini Uzi craze that Chuck kind of started, and he had them in both hands and was doing all this shit. You know, it's everything that I like about 80s B-grade movies. Like,
right.
I don't feel like I have to think, but it's not at like, it's still technically at a high enough level to where it interests me, the actors, the dialogue. It doesn't have to be over the top, it's fine. And
the movie's not like making fun of itself.
Right, like this is a serious movie, I think. And, you know, it's a B movie in my eyes that has a lot of A aspects.
Right.
Now, that might not be
trying to climb out of that.
Right, that might not be like Chuck Norris's acting. Might not be one of the A things I'm talking about, but it has plenty of A aspects in it. And I really liked it, man. I got all cannoned up this last week, dude. That's all I did was cannon it up.
Got in your underwear, sat on the sofa, and watched Cannon movies, did you?
I watched it, yeah. If it doesn't say Golden Globus at the beginning of it, I'm not fucking watching it.
Exactly.
And I remember being a kid and seeing that and being like knowing, like, yeah, I'm going to like this. More times than not. Now, not every time. I got tricked a few times, don't get me wrong. But some of my favorite movies and some of my favorite movie memories come from Canon. 100% sure.
Yeah.
You know, like, I really, really enjoyed watching this. I felt like I was fucking 11 years old again watching it. I was just like...
That is the best thing you can say. It makes you feel like you're a kid.
Yeah.
Like that feeling you have when you're a kid watching action movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, my first memory of this movie is we were talking about the suburbs getting blown up scene. When I first saw this came out in 85, so I was probably 6 when I first saw it.
Yeah.
Right when it came out on VHS. And when they're hanging up, they're putting the lights on the Christmas tree, and the Russians pull up and they just blow up that girl's house with the rockets. For some reason that terrified the shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah.
It wasn't Freddy. It wasn't none of that bullshit. Because I was like, oh, that's clearly fake. But just the thought of someone just coming and attacking you for no reason, really.
Yeah.
Like, that scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, even though now when I watch it now, it's completely ridiculous that there's a bunch of Russians in a pickup truck shooting rockets at people's houses. But, you know, like you said, it makes you feel like you did when you watched it when you were a kid.
Yeah. And
this movie is just...
Go ahead, Lee. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You know, like, this is just, you know, it's like, I don't know, it's like... This movie's like finding an old Van Halen cassette from the early 80s.
Yeah, and forgetting what's on. It's like, oh, Diver Down. Did I like this? Yes, I did. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, some of it is a little ridiculous. I mean, you know, they come up on like these World War fucking II, like APC personnel carriers, like amphibious personnel carriers, and unload like, I don't know, a few hundred Russian dudes to go all across the country.
Trucks.
Right. And I actually
where's the army at? You know, it's
just don't worry about it. And I actually
the army when you have Mad Hunter.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of like these small groups going to all these major cities and doing these little kind of terroristy things. You know, if you start kind of busting in like the safest parts of the country, like the suburbs, especially in 1985, then, you know, it'll create such a panic so much quicker than it would really doing it any other way. And when it's happening like all over the place, I just thought it was kind of a cool idea. Now, you can never do it on a big enough scale to actually really do all that much. I don't guess, or maybe you could. I don't know. But it's kind of foretelling, you know, like, because we've had some groups kind of try and do the same kind of shit.
Right.
To some varying degrees of success. So, you know.
You would probably need more than 200 guys coming off World War II boats,
right?
Getting into U-Haul trucks. But the idea is cool.
Yeah. I guess that's.
And they would probably have to start from somewhere else other than Miami.
Yeah.
Like going to Globus, they probably just had a deal with the state of Florida. Like, we'll shoot it all here, you know. And but like, you don't think of that when you're watching the movie.
Right.
And also something I love about this movie is I love actors like Richard Lynch, the guy who plays Rostov, the head Russian.
Mm-hmm.
Like how in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, you had these sort of bad guy actors. Like Richard Lynch only played bad guys.
He looks like a bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the reason why that was is he was in a fire when he was young, and his face, he was in the hospital for like a year, and they had to do all these surgeries on his face. That's why his skin is so tight on his face. He looks like fucking if Skeletor was a used car salesman. You know, I mean... Just, yeah. But I mean, you know, a lot of people would get in an accident like that and their acting career would be over. He was like, no, fuck it, I'm just going to roll with it.
He found a niche.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's not enough niche actors these days, like guys that always play the badass or always play the henchman and all that. I miss those old niche guys.
Oh, I completely agree.
Garrick,
what'd you think, Garrick?
I can't wait to hear what you thought about this fantastic fucking movie that we watched.
All right, so I 100%. I agree with both of you guys. It is 80s. It has my childhood written all over it. And yes, I can see. You know, when I was watching this at 13 or whenever it was, you know, it was pretty freaking awesome. But so here's my problem. Here's my one problem. And I know what it is, and I know you guys are going to tear me apart, but I'm going to say it anyway. John McClane and Jan and Matt Red Dawn, they all struggled through all this, like, all this aggression and all these fights, man. John McClane was damn near dead. Chuck Norris walks through all these Russians. Because he doesn't even get a Band-Aid. Like, what's fucking Chuck Norris? What's the fucking problem, though? Chuck Norris sucks. Walker, Texas Ranger sucks. Well, Chuck Norris has always sucked.
I'm not gonna let the Octagon know that you said that because I want your children to grow up with a father. And he might be like fucking 80 years old, but he would come in here and kick the fucking shit out of all of us.
Absolutely. I didn't say anything about his fight technique. I'm talking about him as an actor. I don't give a shit. He's he is like a trailer park Clint Eastwood.
Here's my thing about Chuck Norris. And it's really exemplified in this Invasion USA. They don't let him act. And by not letting him do anything, it actually kind of makes it worse when he does do something verbally.
Maybe. Okay, maybe.
Like if you just let him be a human being instead of, you know, he just like comes in and then he recites like these two lines and then you just see him fuck shit up, but he doesn't talk for another 15 minutes.
Yeah, he just grabs the bomb and goes, "You guys missing this?"
It's very odd, but I put that more on the director and the writer than I would on him. I don't think he's as bad an actor as people have always made him out to be. I think
he's horrible.
Well, he probably hates you too, man.
Good.
I'm just saying, I see exactly what you mean, but at the same time, I don't think he was ever really given much opportunity to do anything. And then
he helped write the script.
Well,
maybe that's it. Maybe Chuck Norris knows
it's directing.
That would be awesome.
It's directing.
Sure.
It's directing. Because if he's that fucking bad saying anything, don't have him say a fucking word.
I'm just talking about the character. Like, Hunter they could have got him.
He was Walker, Texas Ranger from Louisiana.
Okay, sure.
I mean, didn't you think, like, he's the same... It's the same guy. He's the same guy. Yeah, you know, this sort of kind of rednecky dude with a big mustache.
It's like Moses parting the Red Sea when it comes to his movies. He just walks through the shit. And I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I just don't buy it. I like John McClane. I like the flawed guys. The guys that are hanging on for dear life when they finally kill the fucking Russian at the end. He's like, looks up with blood coming out of his mouth and eyes and freaking fingers cut off, and he's like, my God, I got him. Yeah. That's what I like.
I hear you. And there's no, like, I guess, like, character arc, if you want.
Yeah, no, there's nothing.
I mean, there's nothing, like, in your fancy film speak. It's just put this guy out here, have him do a couple of judo chops, have him kick a dude from, like... you know, and then a couple of little spinning little things with the guns.
Yeah, there's no hero's journey. There's no thresholds or call to actions. It's
Lee just almost fucking exploded. When you said thresholds, he just about fucking blew a fucking. He just about had a fucking aneurysm.
That's what they call it in the hero's journey.
I understand that.
I know exactly what they call it.
But here's the thing, man. I don't need that in every fucking movie I watch.
I don't either.
Especially in every action movie I watch. And if you're just going to give it to me cheaply, I'm fine with having Chuck Norris in it, or you can put anybody in it, but Chuck as well as anybody else. He doesn't bother me like he obviously bothers you.
He doesn't bother me. I enjoy the movie. I just don't buy it. It's just Chuck Norris. That's the problem with Chuck Norris.
What do you mean you don't? What don't you buy?
It's so one-dimensional. He's never ever in danger in any of his movies. Fuck. He just walks around with this little
Lone
Uzi.
Wolf McQuaid, don't you remember? They put him in that fucking truck and buried him.
Okay. Well,
he almost died in that 10
we're not
fucking
talking
times.
about that movie. We're talking about this movie.
But
That's
I'm
what
saying,
sucks about this movie is it's every fucking Russian in the Soviet Union is in Atlanta, Georgia. And it's just Chuck Norris.
It's all we need.
And he wins. Get the fuck out of here. It's so much bullshit.
Well.
Oh, jeez Louise. Garrick, you sound like a fucking asshole. So we're talking about the pathos of a fucking Chuck Norris movie. It's Invasion USA. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. I get what you're saying, Garrick. But I think going into this, you got to know what. I mean, it's called Invasion USA. It's got Chuck Norris on the cover with 2 fucking little mini Uzis, wearing his same bullshit. He looks like he wears the same fucking clothes in every movie.
Yeah.
And that's okay. He has the same haircut, same mustache. He doesn't look any different. He doesn't talk any differently. He just comes in, and whatever the story is, he's the guy. That's it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying.
I enjoy the movie, and I feel the same way. It just takes me back to my childhood, and man, if I was a 13-year-old kid watching this, I wouldn't notice that stuff. And like I said,
here's one
watching
thing.
it now, I'm kind of like, man, I really fed into all that.
Here's one thing that I did notice, even when I was a kid, and I don't know why. I never liked fucking Chuck Norris when I was a kid. I never liked any of his fucking movies. I would watch that and be like, man, this would be so good if anybody else in the fucking world was in this.
That's all I kept remembering is Chuck Norris beat Bruce Lee's ass or something like that.
I don't know why I had this, Bruce block, or this
Chuck block.
This Chuck block, rather, where I just instantly going into a movie with him in it, I'd already taken a star away from whatever it was possibly going to be because he was in it. And I don't know why. Because I don't have anything against him. I like him fine. Going back and watching that, I enjoyed the shit out of it.
But we had a lot of action movies in the 80s.
But what about the hero's journey, Doug?
Well, I guess that's what it's missing.
We had Han Solo in the 80s. We didn't need fucking Matt Hunter.
I guess not. Maybe that was it. I don't know what it was. But I've always had a bit of a Chuck block. And I'm trying to get over that.
You weren't out of the closet then either.
Chuck block.
All right. Well, but hey, you know what? This movie actually gets another star because the scene where the prostitute puts the cocaine straw in her nose and gets it whacked up into her nose and thrown out the window makes up for any bad acting of Chuck Norris.
It's one of the best parts of any movie that I watched all week.
It really was.
Yeah.
And then he shoots Billy Drago's balls off, really for no reason. And then this woman who has a metal cocaine straw shoved in her nose, Richard Lynch picks her up and throws her out the fucking window, really just out of meanness.
Just to be a dick.
She's gonna die.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, by the way, scummy Miami drug dealers, here's the type of guy I am. And just...
Bye! Yeah.
Yeah, that movie, that's the... If you want to show someone what this movie's about, that's the scene to show them.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a must see. If you're into the big acting, Chuck Norris is not your guy. But it's a must see if you grew up in the 80s.
Do you think it's a must see?
Of course, it's like on the list. Absolutely. Okay. I mean, it's a movie. If you like these kind of movies, If you grew up, if you were 40 years old...
Did you watch enough canon? Let me ask you something, Garrick. Did you watch enough canon movies to where you have a favorite?
No. Well, I don't know, dude. 46 years of my life. That was, 30 years ago? When was the 80s for me? 25 years ago.
I don't know.
Oh, God,
one fucking year before me, asshole? Like...
It was the 80s was the same time for everybody, Garrick.
I know, but however, I was thrown out of trucks. I did a lot of bong.
You weren't thrown out of a truck. I threw you out of a truck one time.
Okay, I did a lot of funneling of beer.
Not in the 80s.
No, I'm talking about since the 80s, asshole.
Okay, Lee. Let me pose this question to you.
Right.
I know that you've watched probably as many, if not more, of these canon films. I'm curious if you happen to have a favorite, and if you do, I'm curious as to what it is.
Well, it's odd that you mentioned that, because my favorite is actually the sequel to Invasion USA, which does not have Chuck Norris in it.
Of course it is.
But the character of Matt Hunter appears in Avenging Force, played by Michael Dudikoff.
Okay.
And it's him versus this sort of super right-wing, like these guys who are like martial artists and these super like Nazi guys, and they hunt people in the swamp of Louisiana.
Nice.
They hunt veterans, and each one of them has a particular weapon and stuff, and it's just ridiculous. There's stuff in it like children get blown apart with machine guns, stuff that should never happen in a movie.
Canon stuff. Yeah.
Exactly, canon stuff, because there were these two kind of shady businessmen from Israel who were just able to find money to make these movies.
Shady as fuck, but still.
Shady as fuck.
I would say,
like Chuck Norris said, as long as you get your money up front, they're good to work with. But don't ever expect them to pay you later, is what he said. He said.
I think my favorite...
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is my favorite.
Of course, it's up there. It's probably number 2, but just on a standalone movie, I think my favorite is Cobra.
Cobra, yeah.
Or as it was known from the time that the movie came out until, well, basically for my whole life, because I had the poster on my motherfucking bedroom door, Stallone Cobra. That's how I referred to this movie.
Stallone Cobra.
Yeah, you remember he had the laser sighter. Yeah, it's in Stallone Cobra. Why the fuck did I do that? Nobody knows. This movie was always and always has been and always, I guess, will be Stallone Cobra. It's a kick-ass movie. I looked for it, man. I just didn't want to buy it or pay like $4 to rent it. I thought I owned it, but I don't, which sucks. But it's probably my favorite canon movie.
I remember sneaking and watching Bolero too, just to see Bo Derek.
Bolero.
Just to see Bo Derek. 88. That's when the puberty was coming. Things were changing.
Oh yeah.
I had to see Bolero.
Bolero. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of these. I mean, now looking at it.
Yeah. Well, I watched a handful of them over the week.
Oh yeah.
These old good canon.
Well, why don't you get into it? What'd you watch?
All right, I got 2 movies that I watched, and then I've got a recommendation, our new little 99-cent rental.
Sure.
Nothing great, but it's a one-timer. So the first thing I watched, you were just talking about Dudikoff, and I watched American Ninja.
Yeah, you did.
Because it's on Prime, and I was searching around, I was like, oh my God, yes. I don't know where they are in this movie. I don't know if they're in Hawaii. I don't know if they're just on an island. So I don't know where they are. It might be Hawaii. I'm just not sure. So anyway, this convoy, they're on this military base, and this convoy is going to take some stuff to somewhere, and out jumps some locals that try and hijack them, and then the next thing you know, like a mess of ninjas show up and kill like all the guys from the base or several of the guys from the base, and Michael Dudikoff, I think his name is Joe Armstrong, he kind of fights them off, and like the ninja boss man up on the hill like sees him and is like, yes, he's special, recognizes his skills. And it very similarly to Invasion USA, it's quintessential mid-'80s. The music in it is just fucking horrific. It's as bad as anything. Well, actually, it's not the worst soundtrack of any movie I watched this week. But this one is pretty bad. You gotta, I think we were watching, what was it? We were watching The Five Bloods, and we were talking about, you never trust the French guy in the white suit when you're in some kind of like crazy land where you're almost certain he's a villain. Well, of course, in this, the villain is a white suit wearing Frenchman named Ortega, and basically he owns and runs a fully functional ninja school where they're training ninjas, and they're basically stealing weaponry and different technologies from this military base, and then this Ortega guy's selling them, and that's kind of where he's getting the money to do all this. Look, it's not, come on. It's not great. The fight scenes are average at their best, But it's still a fun movie. I still like Dudikoff. Dudikoff kind of like Chuck Norris. He's not given too many scenes, to talk or whatever. A lot of the other actors in this movie do a lot of the talking. He has a lot of, just a couple of lines here and there. But
imagine that.
Look, I will always love movies like this, dude. Always. Just maybe it's just the time frame. I don't really know. At this time when this movie came out, I think it was in '86. Dude, anything with ninja on it, and I had to have it. I was saving up fucking my school money, like money I would go to school to buy lunch with, and then I would walk up to the store every Friday afternoon and buy Ninja magazine, spend like $5 on Ninja magazine.
Remember the flying stars, the throwing stars, the metal throwing stars?
Dude, I ordered so much shit from this magazine.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was all garbage.
Oh yeah.
But still, I just, I always will love movies like this one, and it's not, like I say, it's not great, but I still enjoyed it. If you've never seen American Ninja, you like Dudikoff, go check it out. All right. Now the next movie I watched, this is my favorite movie I watched this week, and it's actually by the same director that did American Ninja. This is Ninja 3.
The Domination.
Domination, starring Lucinda Dickey. And if you don't know who Lucinda Dickey is, I want you to go back and think about the movie Breakin' and Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. Lucinda Dickey is Kelly from the Breakin' movies.
And I like the Breakin' movies. Of
Yes.
course, I was a breakdancer then. If I watched it now, I'd probably pull my eyes out. But
It's tough.
yeah.
Kelly from Breakin' basically gets the soul of a badass ninja put into her body as this guy's dying, and then she goes on a violent kind of revenge rampage, and she also does some aerobicizing quite a bit in this. There's a lot of her dancing and trying to do these workouts, which is hot. And the opening scene of this movie, this guy's on the golf course. It's like my fucking nightmare. This guy's out there playing, and a fucking ninja shows up. I mean, what do you fucking do? You're fucked. He kills everybody, of course. And the cops come. They shoot this fucking ninja about 100 fucking times. He still gets away. And then he's about to die, and Lucinda's like, she works for like the telephone company or power company. She's on a pole, and she sees this guy and goes down, and then he does like this thing, and they become kind of bonded. And fuck, dude, it's ninjas, it's aerobicizing, it's possession. I mean, what's not to like, dude? This thing is fucking. This is a gem right here.
People getting killed by
People
a ninja
getting killed on a
golf
fucking golf course. There's a fucking eye patch ninja, Patchy. It's just, look, I love shit like this, man. And can I watch it all the time? Abso-fucking-lutely not. But it's been, dude, I haven't seen Ninja 3 Domination since probably 1986. And to go back and watch it again, and these movies look great, dude, on fucking Prime. They're HD, they look fucking fantastic. This movie it's a 90 minutes well spent. I fucking loved it.
Ninja 3, The Domination.
Ninja 3, The Domination, if you've never seen it, I highly suggest it. And that's my canon spread for the week.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it, man.
Lee,
Yes, sir.
what'd you watch?
Well, I watched I didn't watch much. The only movie I watched Chuck Norris's best movie, in my opinion, which is the movie he made right before Invasion USA. It's called Code of Silence. And the script was originally a Dirty Harry sequel, and when Clint bailed out of it, they turned it into a Chuck Norris movie. And it's probably the only movie of his that actually got good reviews.
Did we watch this?
No.
Did we watch Code of Silence?
We didn't?
No, we haven't watched
that you're thinking of Silent Rage.
Thank you.
Yes. But he's not really even a martial arts guy in the movie. He's just a cop, and these Italian gangsters basically kill and rob a large shipment of coke from these Colombian gangsters. And while this is all going on, this older cop accidentally shoots this teenage kid. So basically, it's like the cops are that one cop is lying to protect himself, and the Italian guy is lying to the mob boss he works for, saying he didn't rob the Colombian guy. So it's all these guys sort of in this situation, sort of protecting themselves and trying to get revenge on each other. And Chuck Norris is just the cop, the detective in charge of the case. And it's until like the last 20 minutes, it's like the most an actual movie he was ever in. Of course, the last 20 minutes it becomes a Chuck Norris movie, and it's ridiculous. But it was directed by Andrew Davis, who eventually went on to direct Under Siege and The Fugitive. So it's probably also the best director Chuck Norris ever worked with. And I think it might be on Prime. It's his best movie, in my opinion.
Okay.
I'll check it out.
No, you won't.
Code of Silence. How much does he talk? How much does he act?
Not that much, but he's not playing. It's the most you ever see him not play Chuck Norris.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, then maybe I should give it a shot.
Like I said, it was written as a Dirty Harry script, and they just moved it to Chicago when it became switched. Glenn Clint wasn't interested. But other than that, my girlfriend just got a new iPhone, and apparently that came with a year's worth of Apple TV.
Yes.
For free. And we watched a show called The Servant, which is one of the weirdest TV shows I've ever seen. This woman and her husband, they're these sort of upper class couple from Pittsburgh, and their baby has died before the start of the show. And apparently there's a thing women can do where they get like a silicone duplicate of their baby as a doll to help them with the grieving process. And it looks creepy as shit. It's this little dead baby doll. And this woman is so out of her mind, she has not acknowledged the death of her child. So she's just walking around with this doll. She even goes so far to hire a nanny. And when the nanny shows up, and the nanny's this very strange teenage girl. And when the nanny shows up, the dad's like in the basement doing something. He hears a baby start crying. And when he comes back up, his son is alive in the crib, who's been dead for like 2 months at this point. And it's just sort of like, the mystery is like, is the baby back to life? Did the nanny bring a baby in to replace it? Like it's this whole like conspiracy to figure out who knows what and why all this weird shit is happening.
Wow. Sounds kind of interesting. Is it good?
And it was pretty good. It really was.
How many episodes?
What's that?
Is it a movie or TV series?
TV show.
Oh, wow.
TV show. Yeah, I think it was one of Apple TV's first shows. Because it came on last year sometime. And The only other thing I started another show on Apple TV called Ted Lasso, which is like this comedy show, a sitcom about this college American football coach who goes to England to coach a pro soccer team, even though he knows nothing about soccer. And it sounds like the corniest show in the world, but it's oddly well written. Like, it's just like his positivity is like his superpower. And even though he knows nothing about soccer, it's like the thing I would compare it most to would be the first Major League. Like, I thought I'd just watch 30 minutes of it and be done. But it was a surprisingly well done show. Yeah, but that's all I watched. What about you, Garrick?
Well, that's funny you say that, because I really had planned on doing some research this week and watching some Canon films and staying true to our show. But I guess I just decided, well, I keep seeing, I have it on my Instagram, Cobra Kai, and I was like, you know what, man? I'm gonna watch the first two just to see what all the hype is about. And then I ended up watching the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
Both episodes, or both seasons. It is fantastic.
It's really well done.
I mean, it's so I like Johnny Lawrence is my guy, and the way they did it, and the way they're slowly bringing things back, and I love how Johnny Lawrence is stuck in the 80s, like he doesn't know, just everything, the way they've written it. I mean, sure, it's got 10 writers. Of course it's going to be good, but it's so surprisingly good, man. Like, I'm hooked 100%. Like, it's great. Have you seen it, Doug?
No. I've watched the trailer for it several times, like, just surfing around, and I'm like, man, do I want to get into this? Because everything about it looks like something I would like, you know?
Oh, you'll love it.
Him just being...
Oh, it's all 80s. Everything, 80s music, rap. I mean, it's great. And Johnny Lawrence. I would say... Would you say that Johnny's the main character?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, which is great, because Ralph Macchio is not. So basically, just to give everybody a premise, this is the Karate Kid 20 years later. Basically, they pick it up in present day, and Johnny Lawrence's life has just been, I think the first scene he's throwing up, or he's drinking beer, or he's passed out with a beer in his hand, and he's doing odd jobs, and he sucks. And Daniel LaRusso, Ralph Macchio, owns this big
car lot
in Sherman Oaks or in Encino, and
it's still talking about like karate.
He doesn't talk about karate till he meets. He's let that all behind until Johnny Lawrence and his path cross, and it brings back up the old rivalry. The old rivalry. And so then Johnny Lawrence decides to open up Cobra Kai again. And then Ralph Macchio sees Cobra Kai, and then he starts, and it just, the way they do it, and then, at one point in time, this stuff happens with his daughter, and Johnny's son, like, it's great.
You're pulling for fucking Johnny Lawrence.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Even John Kreese comes back. Nice. He comes back from the dead. I mean, and, dude, how they... And this is a spoiler alert. So they have all these people come back, even Ralph Macchio's mom from the original movies back. I mean, the only one that's not back is Mr. Miyagi.
Because he's dead.
But they bring his whole house back. He willed it all to Ralph. So the whole pond and everything's there. Everything where he lived.
He still lives there? What, is Ralph living there now?
No, it's Ralph.
He just owns it.
Yeah, he just owns it. Or maybe it was... They don't ever say that maybe... Miyagi willed it to him or whatever, but Macchio has all the property in the car and everything, and he keeps it there.
I gotcha.
Well, so about midway through season number 2, Johnny Lawrence is on at one scene. Macchio, at one point in time during these 2 seasons, Daniel and Johnny actually get drunk together and they hash things out, and then something else happens that causes the bullshit again. But in that scene, they start talking about the girl. What's her name? Allie.
Elizabeth Shue's character.
Yeah, Allie. They start talking about Allie, and they looked her up on Facebook, and so anyway, they mention it. Well, about 3 seasons to the end of the second one, Johnny sends her a message on Facebook, and after this disastrous, huge, like, awesome freaking karate fight amongst kids in a school at the end of season 2. You know, everybody's like, you got to stop the karate, you got to stop the rivalry. So Johnny's phone's going off, and he tosses his phone into the sand and walks off, and then they zoom in on it, and it's Allie calling him. And that's how they leave us for season 2. And I'm just like, dude, I fucking love this. The shows are 35 minutes, anywhere from 27 to 40 minutes long. They're very simple, very quick.
Yeah. Oh, I've wanted to get on it. It's just,
awesome.
you know, I just haven't yet.
Well, it took up my whole week. I watched a couple other things, but anybody out there, man, that wants to binge something, I think it originally is on YouTube. I think it's an original YouTube original. So you'll probably have to get YouTube Red to see season 3, but now they're passing it to Netflix, I guess, for additional money. So right now on Netflix, you can watch the whole thing.
And I would assume that season 3, when it comes out, will probably be on Netflix too.
It will.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, maybe, or maybe Netflix bought it from YouTube and said, "Here, we'll double dip on this and do whatever."
It looks really cool.
Or maybe, you know what? YouTube may have canceled it after the first season, and Netflix said, let's do another season.
Something.
I don't know.
That kind of sounds familiar. Like,
yeah, maybe YouTube was like, yeah, we did one season, and because I could see how the first season ending, how it. Well, no, they left us hanging in this first season too. I don't know, man. That's, you know what? I'm not a businessman. I don't know how that works, and I didn't research it enough. But it is really good. You guys should check it out. Okay. The other movie I saw, and I don't really know why I watched this because I've seen it a couple times before, but I did watch Red Dragon.
Right.
It is it's Manhunter redone. Directed by Brett Ratner, but it has Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. And I don't know, man. And I know that, Lee, you and I disagree on lots of stuff, but I think we can both agree that Manhunter is a much stronger film with this.
I started watching Red Dragon a couple weeks when it first came on Netflix, and I got about 20 minutes deep, and it was just, there's nothing to it. Like, all I kept thinking was the corresponding scenes in Manhunter.
Yeah, right. It's just
I couldn't really pay attention to it.
Ray Fiennes, man, he's awesome. Like,
he's fucking amazing.
He's always good in everything.
He's so good in that. He is the movie. And
Philip Seymour Hoffman is the perfect scumbag reporter.
Yeah.
But I mean, besides that, like, I don't know. I think there's no comparison between Manhunter and this.
It's weird. Just the whole thing about it to me is just weird. I don't know why it was ever really even made. Was it just to put Hopkins in it?
Well, I think Universal, they had done Hannibal, they had done Silence of the Lambs, and then they had done Hannibal. And I guess Universal decided they needed to go ahead and brand a 3 so they could have a 3-pack DVD and a 3-pack Blu-ray of Hannibal Lecter and go ahead and package this up and do it. And it made a ton of money. Of course it makes tons of money. It's Hannibal Lecter. He was... but I bet there's a million people out there, probably some on our Tales from the Video Store group, that have not seen Manhunter and don't even know it exists, and will tell you that this movie is awesome and it's great without having seen the original that Michael Mann did. Or no, I'm sorry, William Friedkin, right?
No, Michael Mann.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's right.
First time.
That's right. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. It's Michael Mann. I think I'm talking about To Live and Die in L.A. I guess Michael Mann wrote that when William Friedkin directed it.
It's easy to get confused.
They do make similar types of movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's entertaining, but having seen Manhunter, I mean, had Manhunter never happened, or I was one of those people that didn't know that existed, I would say, it's pretty good. That's a good movie, you know. Yeah. Hannibal Lecter. I mean, Anthony Hopkins doing Hannibal Lecter's obviously it's the best. So I don't know. I'd give it 5 stars maybe out of 10. I don't know. I like Ed Norton too. I mean,
Norton's fine in it. It's just, I don't know. And so is, who else is in that I'm trying to think of?
Oh, there's plenty. There's Bill Nunn.
Is Oldman in it?
Harvey Keitel is.
He's in Hannibal. See, it's been so long I get them confused.
Oldman and Ray Liotta. Ray Liotta's the one that got his brain eaten in Hannibal.
Yeah, that's right. That was something.
Yeah, it was something. Okay, and then the last thing I watched was a actual YouTube special. Johnny Cash is the Gift. It's just a documentary about Johnny Cash and what kind of man he was, and it's really cool. They have a lot of people talk about it. The weird thing is they don't. It's just the voice, so I'm not real sure if people and the voices sounds really quality. Like they just have a lot of people that knew him. Yeah. A lot of famous people talk about what he did for the community and stuff, and how he lived his life, and they get into his drug use, and they use nothing but archive photos and videos that he took to tell the story. And all the famous people, instead of putting them on camera, they just laid in their audio. I don't know if that's because they wanted to keep it Johnny Cash and never Willie Nelson and his kids and everybody, Robert Duvall, all these people were talking about who Johnny Cash was. If they never show Robert Duvall, they just say in the corner Robert Duvall.
And you just hear his voice.
You just hear his voice over footage. It was great, man. It's an hour and 20 minutes, and I mean, he really was a good dude. Like, he was just a good dude. Even they talk about his his drug problems but all the other things that he'd done for the community, for the African American community, and it's an interesting little documentary if you like Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
It came out last year. I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. I was actually listening to some Johnny Cash at work today, so that's...
It's good. It's called The Gift, and it's on... If you look up YouTube, it's free, and it's great. It's a cool hour and a half. Check
that out.
Okay, well, that's it then. That's all our movies we watched. All right, so we got us some new little thing we're going to do each week. We got us some movie face-off. We have Invasion USA against Red Dawn, which are kind of the same premise. Only difference is
one of them.
It was Wolverines, or it was just one Chuck Norris. Which is the better movie? I know mine. Red Dawn is. Red Dawn's one of my favorites.
It's one of my favorites too, man. I mean, it's like, goddamn.
Of course, if Manhunter been in Red Dawn, those high school kids wouldn't even got involved.
You're right.
Even over 90 minutes.
Yeah, they would have all died while they were peeing in the radiator.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. They would have never gotten out of town. They'd have stayed at the football field. Yeah, well, we'll put that movie face off up on the Facebook page. They do have polls. We just can't put pictures anymore. So
how odd?
You can't even put pictures in like the top, like with the text.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird. It's just the poll, so you can't really see it. And so I did. So I wanted to do a whole tournament with our Batman thing.
Yeah.
And you can't do it. You got to do polls. So I just listed all of them. And of course, Michael Keaton blew everybody out of the water. But we can't do our little cool tournament.
Blew everybody out of the water?
Oh, yeah, man, it was a landslide.
Yeah,
including
remotely close.
Including Adam West.
Oh, fuck these
Val
people.
Kilmer got 2 votes. If you believe that.
Well, he was better. He was better than Clooney. So.
Yeah, it's true. That's very true.
Yeah. God. Oof.
All right. So
Garrick.
Another new little section we're going to try to do is a. You didn't do it, did you?
Didn't do what?
The 99-cent rental.
No.
Okay.
I've got it right here, man.
Well, we talked about it.
We did talk about it.
It's been an hour-long show so far.
Yeah.
So, guys, we're going to do go try something new. We've been doing a manager's choice, which was kind of any kind of movie, but we're going to do something called the 99-cent rental. And it's kind of a movie that you may not want to own, you may not want to buy, and you'll probably only watch it once, but it's worth that one watch.
And it's, connected to whatever we're... the subgenre or whatever. Yes. In this case, we're talking about canon films. And so, the 99 Center, the very first one, and you're going to love this, because I sat down and I watched this motherfucker, Lee, from start to finish.
Right.
1986 is Firewalker.
Oh no!
With Chuck Norris and my main man, Louis Gossett Jr.
I knew you would see. I saw that on Prime.
Also known as Chappie Sinclair. Do not fuck with these guys. The director is J. Lee Thompson. He did Cape Fear, Guns of Navarone, I believe. Look, this is supposed to be a comedy, okay? It's a mid-'80s comedy that isn't very funny. It's very lighthearted, though. Chuck is allowed to be... He's allowed to talk a little bit more. And it doesn't ruin anything. Unless you simply don't like Chuck Norris. You know, if you have a proclivity to where you just don't like him, then you're not going to fucking like this. But if you can get past your anti-Chuckness, or whatever it may be, it's a movie about a couple treasure hunters that are some fucking desert somewhere. I don't know where they are, and they're in like a seedy little bar, and this woman approaches them about, you know, she's got this treasure map, and she needs a couple of guys to kind of roll with her on this to get all this gold. And they do. And it's the worst fucking thing I watched all week, but that's okay. Because all these other movies were so good, Firewalker was never going to stand a chance against Ninja 3 Domination. I mean, not with me anyway. But with you, you might enjoy it. You know, it's really lighthearted. I was watching it and I was trying to think of something that's comparable to, because I don't want to say something like Raiders of the Lost Ark, because
Alan Quarterman.
Well, the Quartermains were just terrible. This, though, reminds me more of... Do you remember a few years ago, after that Nick Cage movie with the fucking...
National Treasure.
National Treasure. You remember McConaughey came out with a movie called Sahara? With
yes.
Steve Zahn in it?
Yes.
That I don't know...
Penelope Cruz.
It was just... You know, it was like light and all, but there was just nothing to it.
Yes. That's
this movie from 1986. This is Sahara from 1986. It's just light. There's nothing to it. It's just silliness. The coolest shit about this movie was John Rhys-Davies shows up. He was like Chuck's old Vietnam buddy. And they kind of have this kind of night where they start doing some heavy drinking, and then Davies stands up at one point and chugs an entire half-gallon of liquor and puts it down and walks away, like kind of ending the scene. And the scene where they're leaving him that next morning, Louis Gossett looks over at him and he's like, or maybe it was the girl, I think it was the girl, and says, you ever think you're going to see him again? And he was like, no. But you knew that they were like best friends. Like, it was really like in the middle of this completely ridiculous, silly movie. This scene, this like 10-minute part with John Rhys-Davies was very emotionally driven. It was really good, dude. It was.
And is it John Rhys-Davies wearing like his marine blues in it?
Yes, he's wearing his marine blues. He's got a cowboy hat that has all these corks hanging off of it from liquor bottles and wine bottles, and he kind of runs this camp out in the middle of wherever the fuck they are now, you know, and he tells them, you know, that he wants to be king of the country they're in. I don't even remember where the fuck they are. Like I say, it's not great. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and throw that out there. It's most certainly not great, but for a one-time watch, it's fine. And it's the first time that Norris was allowed to kind of use his comedic chops, if you will, and success, you know, to varying degrees. Some things he said, you're like, God damn, shut the fuck up. And then some things you were like, hey, all right, good one. You know, it's not that bad. For 99 cents, it's well worth a one-time watch.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, Firewalker.
Firewalker, yes.
All right.
Well, and I would have watched more fucking canon, but I just ran out of time.
I did two seasons of Cobra Kai and 11 freaking episodes a season, for goodness sake.
These fucking movies, man. I will always love them, dude. Going back and watch them, it's like being 12, 13 again. And as long as that never, I mean, I'm fucking 45 now. As long as that never goes away, why would I ever stop watching them?
Absolutely. You're right.
I mean, you can't watch them all the time, but every couple of years, put on a little Stallone Cobra. Or, bust out your Invasion USA or whatever, man, and relive it. It's awesome.
Well, we're in North Carolina, and our governor just told us that October 2nd, we are going into phase 3, which means theaters may open back up. How many people are going? Not many. Yep, I doubt it.
Oh, speaking of theaters opening up, I wanted to mention this. I didn't know if you knew about this, and maybe you did. At the Golden Ticket, they are renting out, like, theaters. You can bring 10 people, like a party of 10, whatever movie you want to watch. You get a drink and a big popcorn, it's $10 a person, $100. And the reason I know this is I was leaving my house the other day, and my neighbor stopped me and was like, "Oh, guess what I'm doing tonight?" And they were going to watch the original Star Wars. And I was like...
At the Golden Ticket.
Yeah, I was like, cool. All right. Good deal.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I did not know about that.
Yeah. But, that's about as close as you're going to get me to I mean, even then I'd be like, I know where I've been, but I don't know about these other 9 motherfuckers. Maybe I...
So, Lee, you haven't gotten out to see Tenet yet, either?
I'm holding out. I'm going to see the new James Bond is the next movie I might try to go see in the theater, depending on how things go.
I'm scared to go try and see Tenet at the theater. I just think it's one of those where I'd rather watch it at home, where I can stop it.
What just happened?
And be like, rewind, or, if you get up and piss and you come back and you've missed, like, 90 seconds, and it's like the most imperative 90 seconds of the fucking movie. It happens to me every time.
Yeah.
I've learned my lesson on that. So
when is that? Do they have a date for that James Bond?
Isn't it supposed to be Thanksgiving?
November.
It's supposed to be Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I was reading. I read an article today with David Coep, the screenwriter who wrote. He's written tons of movies, and he explained why Spielberg left Indiana Jones 5. And so basically that Spielberg didn't even want to do Crystal Skull. Basically George Lucas sort of pressured him into it. And that once Disney took control of Lucasfilm, they were talking to Spielberg about doing the 5th Indiana Jones. And then I guess during pre-production, once they started working on the script, Spielberg realized, wait a minute, I don't actually have to do this. And I'm getting older, and I'm not going to spend 2 years doing something I don't want to do. So that's when he basically called James Mangold, like, I want you to come in, I want you to direct this movie. And David Coep said during the first meeting with James Mangold, he basically realized that, David Coep, he basically, since Jurassic Park, he's been writing pretty much every genre film Spielberg's done since then.
Yes.
That's like his guy. And he realized it was kind of like if you're like a manager gets fired and there's a new manager and the assistant manager was the previous guy's best friend. He's like, he basically said he just looked at Mangold and was like, listen, man, I know I'm already signed up to write this movie, but I'm going to leave so you can just pick your own guy and you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
He would basically feel like he would be sort of like Mangold would feel sort of beholden to whatever he thought Spielberg would want to do. And I thought that was really cool of David Coep, because I'm sure he would have got paid an obscene amount of money.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that's my cool guy of the week. My douchebag of the week.
Well, hold on a second. Wait. So has Mangold picked a writer yet? When did this happen? How did I miss this?
Not as far as I know.
God, that actually makes me really excited. James Mangold doing Indiana Jones?
No.
Unless he changes Harrison Ford.
And get fucking rid of Ford.
Crazy.
I don't ever want to see him in Indiana Jones again.
You're
and I sure as fuck don't want... Just wait. When he shows up as fucking Han Solo in The Mandalorian, then you're really going to be pissed off. Just, look. Move along.
Okay.
It's not 1980 fucking 3 anymore, Harrison Ford. Fuck off. I love you, but Go retire.
Oh, for God's sakes, you're crazy.
He's my fucking mom's age. He's fucking 78 years old. It's over. You're not a fucking action star anymore.
Oh, wow.
You're not fucking Indiana Jones anymore.
Oh, my God. My ears, my ears are hurting.
And you know he's my favorite action. I mean,
you know what? The
you
fucking you know who the douchebag of the week is? Fucking you. You're the douchebag of the week. How dare you talk Harrison Ford like that?
Listen, you cocksucker. You sat there and experienced the crystal skulls just like I did right beside of me. Don't pretend like it wasn't the worst fucking experience you've ever had at a movie theater.
I liked it better the second time I watched.
Well, the fact that you watched it a second time makes me question your fucking mental stability.
Because I got loyalty to Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones.
Well,
Yeah,
I, however, do not.
Like the hero's journey in Crystal Skull?
What's that?
Did you like the hero's journey in Crystal Skull?
I did. The hero's journey of his son kind of taking over.
What was his name? Snoop?
Mud.
Fuck, of course it was. Christ.
All right, Glenn, your douchebag of the week.
My douchebag of the week is, of course, this podcast's all-time favorite actor, Jared Leto.
Oh, God.
Not only is Jared Leto a terrible actor and a terrible singer, he has now started his own cult. You know, he has that shitty band, I think it's called 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yes.
Well, they started something this past year called Mars Fest, maybe, where he rented an island in Croatia. And for anywhere from $1,500 to $4,000, you could go hang out with Jared Leto for the weekend. And he walked around in a white robe with sunglasses on while people listened to him talk about life and things like that. I mean, this,
Wow.
you hear people talk about the Me Too movement, how it changed Hollywood, post Weinstein, all this stuff. All I gotta say to the people behind the Me Too movement is you missed one, because there's no way there's not some shady shit going on with Jared Leto and an island full of like 25-year-old girls. And if you look at the picture, it's all women, and they're all wearing white too, just like him. It's so creepy.
It's Epstein. It's Epstein part two.
It's Epstein with an Oscar. It's fucking guy, and I just realized he's going to be the star of Tron 3, which I mean,
Wow, where did this happen?
On an island.
I mean, apparently people just love Jared Leto. I don't get it.
Wow, golly, that sounds douchey altogether.
I mean, I'm going to tell you, this is it. I mean, this could be, if there was a douche beater, this would bury the needle. I mean, it's fucking.
It's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Dude, listen, it is a very weird, strange time we live in. This time last year, they were removing Baby It's Cold Outside from radio, right?
Because it's a little bit rapey.
You know what the number one song this week was? Wet Ass Pussy by Megan Thee Stallion, where it talks about men thrusting their cocks into her wet ass pussy. Now, I guess if it was a man singing that song, it would be illegal. But we're talking about a year after the Me Too movement, and the women aren't going, dude, that's just so disrespectful. Why would we want to do that? It's the number one song in America. Wet ass pussy, WAP.
I guess it's the context that the dick is wanted as opposed to it's cold outside where it's not wanted.
There you go. It's all about the context.
It's all about the context.
I guess, man. Dude. I think it's all
Someone having sex when they want to and someone having sex when they don't want to are two completely different situations.
Correct, but it's still the same thing, though. It's still degrading. I don't know.
It's because of who's saying it.
All right.
Right.
More than what they're saying. That's it.
Okay. Whatever. All right. Well, let me go get me an island. See how many girls. 20.
Let's go, man. I mean, dude.
Let's get.
Go to the island. I mean, go ahead.
I'll just get a hotel in Myrtle Beach and see if I can get a couple on roofies over there.
Jesus Christ.
That's about as good as it's going to get from me. I might wear a white robe. I might if I'm drinking white liquor.
I swear.
Garrick alone on an island, starving to death after 2 weeks.
Yes, I'll be dead. I'll be talking to freaking volleyballs and shit.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Wait,
anyway.
real fast. When did this island? It had to have been before COVID, right?
It was last year. It was last year. He didn't have, but I think they're going to do it again. Oh, you got to look at the picture of him standing talking to all the people where he's holding his hands out like Jesus. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Wow. My wife would be there.
Like movies where they make fun of Hollywood, we have like a douchey actor, like that Adam Sandler movie, Funny People. He's like a character from one of those like Hollywood parodies, but somehow he's real.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, well, my wife would be there. What's it called in, if Jared Leto was Silver Shamrock, man, my wife would have bugs and snakes coming out of her fucking head. That's for sure. Every time he comes on the TV, that's the only time I get laid is after his spot goes off the air. It's unbelievable.
So Garrick, that's why Garrick keeps Suicide Squad running on repeat in his bedroom.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, hey, what you doing tonight? You want to watch Suicide Squad?
Oh, good Lord.
Anyway. All right, well, Jared Leto, you're still the fucking worst. You are the fucking worst.
Yeah.
He's like chlamydia if it was a person.
Jesus Christ.
But I have another news story. You know how we talked a couple months ago how they're going to do a movie about the making of Chinatown?
Yes.
Yes.
They're going to do a movie about the making of The Godfather, and Jake Gyllenhaal is going to play Robert Evans in this, and they should totally get him to play Robert Evans in both movies.
Yes.
Oh yes.
And then end it with a third movie where he's just coked out of his mind.
Yeah, that's great, man. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I'll obviously watch both of those, especially if they're well done.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, there we go. That's it. That's it for this. We got some more news?
No, that's it.
Well, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week with, I guess, our October slasher block that everyone picked. The last time I looked at that, it was the slasher block. Is that what we're doing? That's what I figured. I didn't know if somebody had cheated and got a bunch of their friends to change that setting, but that's what we'll be doing. It's Halloween, baby. It's got to be something
hard. I can't
hard.
even get my friends to listen to the show. They're definitely not voting on a poll.
Yeah, no kidding.
I once had my brother once told me after we did the King of New York episode, he told me he'd been listening, and then he told me we should cover King of New York. And I was like, okay.
We just did. Yeah, we just did. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. If my wife went back and listened to all 83 of these, she would probably divorce me. Thank God she hasn't listened to one.
Exactly.
All right, then. That's it for this week. We'll be back next week in October for horror slasher flicks. It's Halloween, baby. Wash your hands. Pay for your movies. And don't be a fucking douchebag like Jared Leto. Don't be a walking chlamydia.
If chlamydia was a human being. Jesus
Epstein
Christ.
with a fucking Oscar. You cunt. Hi, this is Lee from the Tales from the Video Store podcast, and thanks so much for listening.